Hello and welcome. Today I want to use these eyeglass sunglass molds, and I want to use a mosaic cement. So I have this Jennifer's outdoor cement that I'm going to be using, and I will also be using some of the Colorberry Liquiment pigments. They work really well in this cement. So I've got the Mystery Blue, the Vivid, the Cosmic, and the Nizza. I'm not sure what combination or if I'll use all of them, but those are the ones that I gravitated to today. And then I've just poured some of the cement into a cup here. I think this is 16 ounces. And I have a silicone bowl to mix in and some water. So this mix is just like any other cement. On the package there are quantities and amounts. I know I should follow them. I don't. I will confess. Mainly too because they're for a lot larger amounts. Yes, I could do the math and I could get it down to a smaller equation, but I'm very much about how it looks and the consistency that I'm trying to achieve, as opposed to thinking just because that box tells me a certain calculation that that's accurate. I've found sometimes when I've used them, it doesn't work out because who knows how old the cement is that a person's using, what conditions you're working in, how many minerals are in your water that you're using. There's so many different things that could come into play that I think trying to go by an exact formula, personally for me, just doesn't work. So the intent here is to get like a pancake type batter, maybe a little thicker. And this is a very grainy cement, but the great thing about it is you don't have to add anything. You don't have to add any gravel or sand or anything to it. It's a one, trick pony here. You just have to, or that's probably a bad analogy to use. It's a one-stop shop. That's probably a better one. So you only need this one product and water, as opposed to adding anything else to strengthen the material. The one thing I will caution real quick, you do want to give it a full minimum 12 hours of cure time. If you do not, there's about a 90% chance when you go to demold, it will break. And I speak from experience, so please learn from my mistake. But if you give it the longer period, I usually try to give it 24 hours now just because of that bad experience. You'll find that the strength is greater. And, the instructions on the box say 23 days for a full cure, but within a day, it usually has some pretty good strength to it. Now, if you're doing something very thin, you might even want to wait longer. But for something this depth, it's about a ½ inch or so, I don't know. I was able to demold in 24 hours without an issue. And I know this because I've already done these molds, but for some reason my camera cut off, so I'm going to do them again. And so that I can show you all what I did. So to start, I'm just going to put some of the cement into the bowl. This is very dusty, so make sure that you have a mask handy. I'm going to put mine on now, because it does put off quite a bit of dust and you don't want that. You don't want to breathe that in. Alright. So I'm just going to put some of the powder or cement into the bowl. And I'm not going to put all of it because this is actually a pretty hard cement to stir. So the more you put in, the harder it gets to stir. But to start, I'm going to do a lot like you do with normal cement or plaster. And I'm going to wet the top of the cement. And you should start to actually see it bubble as it works its way down. And I'm not adding, 3 cups or something here. I'm just adding enough to get that top coat, and you can see the bubbles coming. Now you can be patient and let this do some of the work for you, just like with plaster. And by that I mean you can let the dry ingredients start to absorb that water. It does make it moisten more evenly and can make your mixing a little less strenuous. But if you're in a hurry or you're impatient, like myself, you can, go ahead and start stirring after you get that first part on, and then that'll give you an idea of where you're at with the consistency. And this one's pretty wet, because I also know that I'm going to be adding more powder. And if you do get to that point and you've put it in, you've added too much water, it's a very simple fix. You just add more cement. If you get to this point and you don't have, it's very dry, not the consistency you're looking for, just add a little bit of water. Start just by adding drops. And I don't mean like 1 drop. I mean like 20 drops, 30 drops. Just, not an excessive amount, because the water is, you don't need as much as you would for regular cement, I found. So I'm just going to add a little more powder. And I'll give that another stir and see where I'm at with my consistency. And see, now it's really gotten closer to that consistency I'm looking for. If you have too much water, no, I don't care if you leave it, you could leave it a long time and it might change, but it will take a lot longer for it to harden and for you to be able to demold without it cracking. And you would still run the risk that it will crack if you have way too much water. So just be cautious of the amount of water. Don't have it too dry though. I'm showing you the consistency I have mine right now. And that's a good consistency. Kind of, cross between pancake, cake batter, that kind of consistency. And then, since I've decided I want to use color, I'm just going to take another little cup and grab some of the cement and put it in my cup. And a little does go a long way with these colors, so I'm not going to pull in a ton. That should be good. Alright, and then I'll go eeny, meeny, miny, mo to figure out what color I'm going to use. Alright, mystery blue it is. Let's see if I can open this one. Nope. Well, that's a nice dark blue. Which means I will need probably very little of it. So I'm just going to add like 2 drops. That's like a purple blue. I like that darkness. I'm going to go 2 more drops. What do you think? 1 more? Why not? 5 drops. Okay, now I'm going to pour that back into my silicone tub. It's right there in the middle. Just like you would with Jesmonite or plaster or anything like that. Okay. Then I'm going to give that a little swirl, but I'm going to take and put my bowl to the side to make sure I get underneath too. I hate when I get to the bottom and there's no color in there. So I'm just going to do a under-over type of deal with my spatula. Alright, now that's mixed in. And then you just need to decide which mold you want it to go into. So since this one's first, I'll put it there. And I find the easiest way to do this is to kind of scoop and drop. Since I already did most of my marbling in the bowl. And then These are deceptive too, so even though it doesn't look like a lot in there, I'm going to go ahead and shake because it will cover a lot more than I think, or it looks like. Alright, see? So it really doesn't need a whole lot more than that. Got one more scoop here. One more right there. And do another shake. Okay. And now I do have a vibration board that I'm going to put that on to help get rid of all those bubbles. So I'm going to grab that. This is just a vibration plate. So I'll put that right on there. Turn it on. Alright, so that is good, and I'm just going to transfer it back over. And since it's now been fully shaken, I can see that it does need a little more, so I'm just going to add a little more. And then put it back on that vibration plate for a little bit more. And that should be more than enough. Okay, perfect. Now you don't need a vibration plate. I didn't have one for a very long time. You can just do, you know, normal method of putting it on a surface and shaking it. That's why I have it on this board, just because it makes it easier to shake it around. Alright, and then I'm going to flip it so we can work on the next one. But first I have to get rid of what's in here. So I have this, I always keep molds nearby for whenever I have extra of something, just to have a place to put them so I'm not wasting product. Alright, I'm just going to clean this out so I can use it again. Good as new. So now I will start on the next one. Same way I did before. Perfect. Alright. Now I think I'm going to go with the Vivid. So again, I'm just going to pull some into my cup, and with this one I'm going to do more because it is a lighter color. I'm going to go with about half, a third of that cup. And since it is a lighter color, it also takes a lot more to pigment, so I'm going to probably need like 30 drops. Alright, so it won't be a huge contrast, but it will still be a contrast, so I'm just going to dump that in and mix it. And bring this over. This time I'm going to just pour it as opposed to grabbing it and dumping it. Shake that. And I'm gonna grab my spatula. And I am just going to let this sit for at least 24 hours. So I will be back. Okay, we're back the next day and it's time to demold. I'm actually going to start with this first. This is that pin holder I made with the extra cement. And so for this, You just took these little rods. Set that over there. I'll show you a close-up later. We'll look at this one first. Okay, you ready? Oh wow, that turned out very nice. Definitely, although it says mystery blue, that looks a lot more like a purple shade to me personally. But it turned out really pretty the way it integrated in with the cement. I really like that. It is rough on the back here. You just take a fingernail file, go over it, should smooth it out. Pretty easy. So like I said yesterday, it takes 28 days for it to reach its full cure, and by that I mean its full strength. So if you go to sand it right after you demold, it should be a simple process just using a fingernail file. But I love how that turned out, and most of it is very smooth. There's one little tiny air bubble there that the vibration board didn't get rid of. But the surprising thing is when I touch it, it's not like it's a recess. I don't know what that is. So the vibration boards seem to work pretty well. Oh, and one other thing too. You can see how much that color did fade. If you look at it between here and here, it does tone down quite a bit once it cures. I like this. It's nice. Now look at this one. And these would be great, you know, to like sit on a table, like, you know, when you first walk in the door or something. That way you can put your sunglasses on it. You know, you could even use it to put keys or something. You don't necessarily have to use this for glasses or sunglasses. You could just use it as like a catch-all. But with it being made with the cement too, it's a lot sturdier. And then if you did want to like throw keys in it or something, you wouldn't have to worry about the scratching that you would if you did this with resin. Alright, are you ready for this one? Oh wow. This took on interesting colors. So in this corner, it's like a turquoise, which I don't know where that came from. It's also a little bit of turquoise look here, a little bit of blue, and then some yellowish color, but nothing really of that purple, unless I'm not seeing something. It is interesting. I mean, it's very plain unless you move it around, and then you can see some other colors pop through. Maybe that's what that means on the bottle. I forget what it said. I gotta find it. Here. It says VIF. I didn't really think of whatever that meant, but maybe that means something. If you know, leave me a comment and let me know what that means. And again, the same thing. Just grab a nail file and you can smooth out any of the roughness. So I would recommend, if you are going to make these and you're going to use them, that you cut a piece of cork or felt or something the shape of the back and put it on there, just to protect, you know, your table or wherever you're going to be placing this. That way you don't have to worry about scratching anything. Oh, and I said I would show you all. So this is the pen holder, and it just sits and you stick your pens in there. Very simple project. So that's all. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and press the bell to be alerted to future videos.